So back to it to the top. Let's check up on these comments. What's up, Kenny? Monet was my favorite, but nobody is fucking with Noma, who happens to be the character I hate the most. So I thought about Noma too, Takari. We're gonna come to that as soon as I catch up on these comments. Monet ain't care who she killed, then manipulated so many motherfuckers, even her own children. Noma was trash. I mean, Monet did tell Tariq straight up he's her thing. Exactly. She did do that. You couldn't trust Monet if her life depended on it. Rock still number than Monet for sure. All them women in power, but with the bullshit Angela included. Not exactly sure what you're saying there. The dangerous woman from Tommy's perspective is Angela. Her pussy was so so good, it pours and goes by and had him neglecting his kids. It's like the acid ate at his brain. Shanti going to try to play the same games Kanan taught Tommy how to play, and he's going to checkmate the fuck out of her. She trying to finesse the finesser. You could be very much right about that. What's up, Anthony? It's been a while since I've seen you. 3 weeks in for us. Absolutely. Ghost's greatest betrayal was to himself by not pulling out of Tasha in time. If Tommy's mama get kidnapped by CBI, he's painting the whole fucking. I guess you meant the whole fucking city red, like Marvin was talking about. If Case gets kidnapped, Tommy's painting the whole fucking city red. Yeah. Monet had no loose ends all that time until Tariq came around. Rock was weak / powerless this last season of Raising Kanan. I think in that one picture of Tommy, it's going to be Kanan's hallucination in that chair. It could be very much that. He didn't see the hallucination of Kanan. That's a good observation. Yep. And he's talking about Kanan a lot in these trailers and these teasers too. So it just might turn out to be him. Adult Jukebox was definitely dangerous. She had Tommy, Ghost, and Kanan shook. If Raquel is number one, Jukebox is number two. Sorry, Monet. Well, I think we didn't see enough of Jukebox enough to really make that claim, my opinion. But now to dive into what I was talking about, right? So let's go ahead and look at Monet. Ali, you just made a claim that basically she didn't have any issues until Tariq came around. But let's be real, she was only running a small part of all she was doing was running Queens. And let's be real, she still wasn't the thinker or the shot caller. She was calling Lorenzo, getting the the insight on what to do. So even then, she still had a thinker. She may have been, making the final say so, but even with Tariq, she was making this final say so, but somebody else was doing the thinking. Now, Rock, on the other hand, she was doing the thinking and she was calling the shot. So that makes her way more dangerous. And then, the type of moves and stuff like that, like we ain't never seen Monet come up with a whole plan to a whole operation and shit like that to put in place. Rock was the first one that we seen, because even though Power came before Raising Kanan, Rock was before Ghost. So Rock was the first one that we seen that was able to form an organization and an operation, where a finesse operation where people was moving weight, in plain sight without people knowing, without the police being able to detect that. Monet had them folks moving on the corners. She didn't have that type of thought process and stuff like that. She wasn't nowhere near it. To be honest, it's not even close. Rock was way more advanced than her, even though she came before her. She was, like I said, Monet was running that small little part, and she had somebody else doing the thinking. Plus, her operation was moving it on the corners. Rock had people. Rock was so cold. She had a whole apartment complex with crackheads up in there, paying the people off not to say nothing, and moving the weight inside of the damn complex. Rock was cold, bruh. And imagine if Rock was in today's time, the type of shit she had been pulling out. Now let's get to Noma. So Noma was cold, but she has pretty much the same thing with that Monet. She just was, higher up than Monet, obviously, way higher up. But let's be real. She wasn't even the real head of her organization. The real head of the organization seems like to be her brother, Cheetah Dude, which we found out later in season 4. Also, she wasn't the thinker. No, Obi was the thinker. He revealed that the same episode she killed him in episode 403. He was saying the things I did for you and stuff like that, basically implying that he was the one doing all the thinking. She was just calling the shots. So Noma is kind of cut from the same cloth as Monet. Also, when Mecca was around, Mecca was the one making all the big, doing the thinking and putting the stuff in place so that she could do what she's doing. She just had a rich and powerful family backing her that made her so powerful, but it wasn't her, herself. So if you want to say dangerous as in power, then I can rock with you. You talking about Noma. But if you want to talk about dangerous as if how cold she was to be able to move stuff like that. So maybe it's a little miswording of what I said up in here, but to me, she's the coldest one for sure. Let me make sure I go back up here because I seen the comment. Let me go up to the comments first because I know I seen one that I want to get to, but I want to make sure I don't look over nobody. Rock was weak / powerless this last season of Raising Kanan. I'm not gonna say she was weak and powerless because that's not exactly accurate. Like Rock has always had a finesse operation for the most part, very similar to Ghost. So if you want to say she was weak and powerless in this last season, then we can make the same claim for Ghost in season 1 because pretty much the same thing was going on. They both of them's operation was getting hit and they didn't know who it was. And it was actually somebody close to them that knew the operation. So it kind of was hard for her to figure out, especially to be honest, it was worse with Rock because the person that was hitting her was somebody that everybody believed to be dead. The people that was hitting Ghost was somebody that was just in jail. So I don't know if I could say that. And then once she figured out it was unique, Love was kind of interfering with it. You feel me? For her doing, it was kind of in the way of her doing what needed to be done. I think in that one picture of Tommy is going, oh, okay, I already read that. I told y'all Monet used Lorenzo as the cover. She was doing what she wanted to do. I give Tariq credit for the school play only. No, see, you're only saying that because the season 3 and 4 writers changed up the storyline to make it look like Monet was the one doing stuff. But that's just bad writing. There's no way you can really make a claim that Lorenzo wasn't the one making the moves, because we literally seen her in episodes, you know what I'm saying? I mean, in seasons 1 and 2, calling Lorenzo, asking what to do about certain stuff. If she was the one doing in charge of stuff and making the moves, why is she calling to get permission from Lorenzo? Like even when Tasha was asking to get Tariq out the game, she was saying, my husband would never agree with that. If she was the head shot caller, she wouldn't have had to, she would have never had to confirm that with Lorenzo. She just would have did it herself. That's not the case, bro. Lorenzo was running shit. She even told, matter of fact, she even told Detective Ramirez that, you know what Lorenzo's name get me in the street? Protection. So that's bullshit. All it was is bad writing. Lorenzo was absolutely the brains of that damn organization. And when Lorenzo got out, he said it. He was saying a totally different thing in season 2 that he said in season 4. He said, this family has been moving by me and my instincts. He was the thinker. So you're saying Rock made hella bad decisions. She wasn't much of a quality thinker, in my opinion. But this is a show, and you got to think about how hard it is to run an organization like that. Folks make bad mistakes like that all the time. Look at how many mistakes Ghost made in Snowfall. Look at how many mistakes Franklin made, even though they were both brilliant thinkers. It happens. Monet got rid of all her loose ends. She didn't need a plan B. She got rid of all of her loose ends. I don't know. Because Monet was another thing about Monet too. I'm gonna quote something that Lou said about Rock being the hardest. What did he say? The hardest nigga you ever know, or something like that, or the realest nigga you ever know. And that's because Rock typically never let her feelings get in the way of what needed to be done with business. You cannot say the same thing about Monet. Monet's constantly got over emotional and did certain shit that she shouldn't have been doing. Like, for instance, like when she took out Rico and didn't think about the consequences for that. We get it. He shot your son, but it wasn't the right move at the time. Getting over emotional, taking out Lorenzo. That's another one. She didn't think about the consequences. Shit. Honestly, we can keep going down the line and thinking about it. It's like she made a bunch of mistakes too. She didn't get rid of all it. She did need some damn plan Bs. Matter of fact, she didn't. If Tariq wasn't there, Tariq was the one coming up with the plan Bs for her. Monet only had plans she had. Monet only plan she had was trying to use Zeke to get out the game. Yeah. Noma was a worldwide drug and gun runner. Yes, she was, but like I said, she had a bunch of people that was doing that shit for her. She wasn't the person being a shot caller like that. Well, she was the shot caller. Let me rephrase that. But she wasn't the thinker. Rock was solid too. She is number one for sure. She was just as cold as Ghost. Yeah, she Rock, bro. Folks tripping. Rock was cold, bro. Like I said, Rock was ahead of her time. Because think about it. She was the only one doing the type of stuff that we see her doing in Raising Kanan during her time. So we really can't compare what Rock is doing to people that's in modern day time, because obviously the game has grown since then. But if you want to do the comparison according to her time, bro, Rock is top tier. Monet was in the game, but like Kanan told us, Raquel was the game. Exactly. She is the game. You really think she giving that up? When you say y'all don't like giving women credit, you can't be talking about me because I'm taking up for Rock. Last time I checked, Rock is a woman. A chocolate ass, fried ass woman at that. That I'm taking up for. I don't agree with all the Rock decisions, but hey, right now I'm taking up for her heavy. We see we see from the inside the streets respected the Tejadas and Thomas family small time not or not. Hold on. We see from the inside the streets respected the Tejadas and Thomas family. I guess you mean and the Thomas family small time or not. See, that's another thing. That's another thing that I'm a challenge because it was that goes back to more bad writing because doing seasons 1 and 2, the Tejadas was cool, but they wasn't big time like that. They didn't become big time until season 4. All of a sudden, oh, you want to be down with the Tejadas? The Tejadas is this and that and that. They got this nigga Zion, afraid of them and stuff like that. Even though Zion is big enough that he actually knew Ghost and Tommy. That don't even make sense. How the fuck does the Tejada family not know Ghost and Tommy or Kanan? But they're big enough that Zion is, is afraid of their family to a degree. It don't make sense, bro. It's bad writing. That's what that is. Man's doing more begging than a ball for Jay. Oh, fuck. Tasha told Monet she know who running what when Monet told her she had to go by what Lorenzo said. They both always doing what they wanted and could sway their husbands. Sure, they could sway them with the right level of influence and femininity. All women possess that ability. But at the end of the day, it still don't change the fact that Lorenzo was doing the thinking. She could persuade him to do something. It still doesn't change what I said though. She still went the real head of the organization. The flashback in the projects, Monet got the work when Lorenzo did not act because it's more bad writing. That's what I'm still gonna say that with the same thing. They decided to do that bullshit later because they decided they wanted to make Monet bigger than what she was at first. But like I said, anybody that's watched that, and I'm pretty sure everybody in here done seen probably book 2, the all 4 seasons through, from start to finish. And some of us have seen it multiple times, such as myself. If you go back and look at that, it's totally different from season 3 to 4 than it was from season 1 to 2. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. She told Diana how to play a man and make him think he lit. Now she's very manipulative for sure. She was cold at that shit. Carter said all that time Monet had nothing on her. I'm not sure. Hold on, what? And then here's another thing. How you know that that Rock was way colder than Monet. During the height of New York, because keep in mind, Monet and Ghost of them is close around the same age, right? How is it that Monet didn't know the top dogs of New York, which was Ghost, Tommy, and Kanan, but Rock pretty much knew every big dog, you know what I'm saying, that was there in her time. like Snaps and Pop and all of them, they knew who Rock was. So that tells you there that it's levels to it. Well, yeah, that's another thing. She definitely killed Carrie out of emotion, for sure. Well, I didn't say it was whose fault it was or not. I'm just saying her taking Rico out without them having a plan was kind of reckless. And that's what Lorenzo was kind of getting on her about. In real life, one of those careless murders by Ghost Rock or Monet, and they all would have been in jail. I wish the show focused more on the business side instead of all the senseless murders. Good rock with that. Might say Vanessa. I'm not ready for Raquel death scene. I hope she survives all the way to Power Legacy as a surprise cameo. I think that is a possibility because, like I've already explained this a lot of times, but I think that definitely is still a possibility. Tariq D. Mack and Braden under Tommy Wayne. Raquel was the female Nino Brown in season 1. Monet was the local neighborhood trapper. 2 different levels. Yep. Yep. I wish they would have looped it around better. Monet had info on Ghost. They dropped the ball with that, and it was no coincidence Tariq just happened to meet them of all people. Ghost wasn't really a top dog. He was always getting pumped into moving weight for someone else. Nigga, shut up. Yeah, it is a school night for that little nigga. It did, but if you pay attention to Gary, everybody, was getting pumped to a degree up in power. That's what it is. When the Connect decide that they want to do some bullshit, they're gonna do some bullshit. But anyway, any other woman that we could possibly, throw up in it. Something else that I noticed too. I kind of got a bit, I've been doing it a little slow, but just out season 1 alone, I was paying attention. I was like, bruh, in Force I'm talking about. Claudia was laying folks' ass out, bruh. Pay attention, Claudia was catching some bodies. Man, everybody had that shit going on. That's the thing. Y'all talking about how he was getting pumped into moving weight. Everybody had that shit going on. Damn, a lot of comments just came in. Hold on. Angela and Lauren were accidentally dangerous. Accidentally dangerous? Yeah. We could touch on Jukebox a little bit more too, because she did have them shook to a little minute. And also we gotta consider that she was a police officer too. Juliana wasn't dangerous at all. That motherfucker was weak as fuck. When Lorenzo told Monet she needed an enforcer to put down some force, he was cryptically talking about Tommy. Lorenzo dumb as hell if he thought season 1 Kane was going to murder Tommy. Well, he probably wasn't too aware of who Tommy was. Dangerous Woman in Power, honorable mentions, Liliana and Pink Sneakers. Both were respectable hitters. Okay, this is another thing I think we need to put a distinction to as well. So dangerous as far as like, you know, the type of moves that they're capable of making, or dangerous as being a straight killer. Now we want to talk about that. Now that's a different, you know, that's a different ball game. Who is the most dangerous killing, you know, woman? We can go with Pink Sneakers can definitely jump up in there because Pink Sneakers wasn't playing with folks' ass. She was catching motherfucking slipping. Monet was definitely dropping a lot of people. Monet might hold that title. Here's another thing. Y'all think Noma could physically fight? Obviously, they didn't give that to us, but let's say, you know, something was to happen, right? Let's give a scenario. Something was to happen that they didn't have a gun. Nobody was there to help them. It was just one on one, right? And Noma and Monet got to scrapping. Who come out the winner? Jukebox would be number one if she would have killed Raina like the original plans were supposed to be. Perhaps so. Effie was lightweight dangerous too. Not only as a hacker, but she also found ways to make a lot of things happen, plus turn men against you. You ain't lying. I would say of the younger generation, Takara, she probably is the most dangerous. Like between her, Diana, obviously Lauren, and then you know if you want to throw some of the younger ones up in, like I would say she's more dangerous than young Jukebox because right now young Jukebox is not that dangerous. I mean, she's sort of dangerous, but she's not capable of the same shit that Effie is right now. Like Effie is hacker. She's manipulative. She's pretty smart. Now I think Jukebox is smart. I think if they got into a fist fight, I'm going with Jukebox. She laying her ass out. But like as far as overall, she probably got it. I'm trying to think who else is like the younger generation that's like, you know, the 25 and younger range. Who else would be in their group? Lillian, yeah, you're right. Liliana deserves some credit for sure. You said Monet didn't have no loose ends. She killed them all. Well, I don't know. Was Noma a loose end? Shit, that motherfucker was on her ass. Well, shit, Carter. Liliana came at Tommy and became his partner. Very few can do that. Yeah, I read that too. Noma can fight and only in the bed sheets. Yeah, I think Monet will win that too. What's up, D? Been a while. I think grown jukebox seems like she had no conscience. She did. That motherfucker was said Noma play with, yeah, that is true. Noma play with knives, but still a knife is a weapon. I'm talking about like strictly hands. Noma physically fight. If you pay attention through season 3 and 4, Noma has a confess for knives. She even killed Obi that way. It's possible her and Mecca had that in common. She probably could scrap. She probably could. I made a post about the jealousy of Noma towards Monet. She underestimated Noma. Uh, Monet wasn't afraid of Noma. She had to kill her. Okay. Noma and Monet are both Timu versions of trash. Will never say Tariq or Effie is smart. They just some slick manipulating motherfuckers. I don't know. How can you say that though? Look at some of the you gotta think about some of the shit they came up with, the operations and shit like that, to be able to hack into shit. That's some intelligence there. Noma possibly could fight if you pay. Okay, I read that. How did it come up again? He must have posted that twice. Noma the type of bitch to agree to shoot the one only to try to shoot you mid fight. No one character was trash the moment she let Monet live after she confessed to killing Mecca. The whole plot of season 3 was Noma wanting revenge for Mecca dying. Well, that just goes back to them and they bad writing. 50 Cent and Courtney Kemp said years ago they trying to turn power into the Marvel cinematic universe. I think at that point she decided she wanted to fuck Kane, so she held out. All right, though. That's a pretty good segment so far.